G'day fellas, welcome to another episode of Viper Watch. Spawning in the east of the map, it is of course the Viper playing the French and his opponent. If you've been around this channel for a while, you'll be very familiar with the one and only Don Artie playing as the English. So let's talk a little bit about this matchup. This matchup is English versus France, which is an incredibly good matchup for the French. Why is it a good matchup for the French? Well, the English want to make archers, and the French, they want to make cavalry. And what counters archers? Cavalry. So that means that the French have got a very strong civilization win. I would put them probably sitting at about 60% to their opponent's 40%, maybe a little bit closer to the middle, maybe like 55-45. But if I'm playing a game and I pick French and my enemy picks English, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with that. I'm feeling very good about myself and very good about the way that I'm going to be playing. So let's talk a little bit about this map. This map, I don't actually remember the name off the top of my head, but it's got 4 berry spawns per player instead of 3. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It actually looks like Viper's gotten 5 berry spawns and Don's gotten 3. Take a look at that. You know what? The game was like, hey, not only Viper are you the greatest of all time, but you can have the civilization win, and you can also have some extra berries as well. Why not? We like extra berries. You can have some extra berries. I think this is Don's 4th berry patch, and just spawned really far away from his town center. Like, it's kind of as far away from Viper's town center as it is from Don's, but yeah, it doesn't look the best. But let's take a look over at what Viper is up to. So Viper going to be playing the standard French build order here, going for 3 villagers out on gold. He's got 9 at the moment on food. So going to be going for that speedy age up that you would expect out of any French player. I'm curious to know who you guys think is going to win, but I suspect you're probably going to say Viper. Viper's incredibly strong at the moment, getting much better in the game. I had a couple victories over Viper early on, but our more recent games, he's started taking a lot more off me. I think he's won the last 2, actually, that I've played against him. So he's doing a lot better now. He's becoming a lot more comfortable with the game, so it's great to see. And my understanding is that he's actually really enjoying the game, so it's really good to hear. Don Artie, on the other hand, a little bit about Don Artie. So once again, I mentioned earlier, if you've been around this channel, Aussie Drongo, you will know a lot about Don Artie. Don Artie is somewhat infamous in Age of Empires 3, because one of the greatest players that we had in Age of Empires 3 goes by the name of Kaiser Klein, and we had this big tournament over there. It was $5,000, which, you know, for Age of Empires 3 stakes, that's pretty big, right? And Kaiser Klein got knocked out of the tournament by Don Artie. And it was one of the greatest series that ever happened, because Don Artie did the most crazy stuff you've ever seen when it came to it. He was pulling out cheese and Parmesan cheese and cheese that you didn't even know was cheese. Like, he was just the most creative, new school player. It was really old guard versus the new guard. And it was a great, it was a great time to be alive. Let's just say that much. A great time to be an Age of Empires 3 fan. So Don Artie brings a lot of anticipation, at least for me, to the table. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring out, what he can come up with, because he really was, back in the day, the master of lame. He finds these lame things and he makes them just work. I don't know how he does it. Going down with the council hall now. We'll check over in on Viper. We'll see how he's doing going with the School of Cavalry. No surprises there. And we'll take a look at what he's macroing for. So he's got 3 villagers on wood, 3 villagers on stone. I'm sure you guys can expect what's going to be happening. Viper's going to be going for that fast second town center. Don Artie undoubtedly going to be doing the same thing. But playing against the French, he's made the right decision here. School of Cavalry going to be potentially hitting him with a timing push, but let's take a look and see whether Viper realizes there's villagers out here, and whether this villager is going to be making the right decision or the wrong decision. I'm curious who wins between a villager and a scout. I've got a feeling that this scout... Did you guys just see that? He left his friend. He just left. He's like, you know what? You're not allowed inside these walls, John. You stay outside. Like, what kind of shepherd are you? Like, what kind of... We gotta talk about you, and like, if Viper is paying you, like, serious gold to collect sheep and to shepherd sheep, you are not doing well at all. By the way, can we just regard the fact that... Or can we just remark on the fact that his helmet changed color, or his hood changed color from silver to brown when we aged up, or when Viper aged up? Anyway, that was not cool. Don't do that. All right, keep these sheep with you, man. Look at this sheep. This lone little sheep is just chilling out there. I can't believe that was interesting. That wall actually cut the sheep off. But it was weird. It was like it almost just gave it nothing. So Don now. Don walling up. You know, Don is known for doing sneaky things. You know what? You know what wouldn't be crazy, okay? So Don's not booming, okay, at the moment. He's getting wheelbarrow. What if Don did a sneaky? Now, you can't really do a sneaky when the enemy scout's in your base, especially because you can't really kill the enemy scout. Like okay, so as an example, Viper right now, he's going to spot this stone outcropping. Viper sees this stone outcropping and he's like, okay, well, he's not on stone. He's not adding a TC. So what's he doing? Is he going like, is he building out here? Like he's got to be doing something, right? Because he's walled up like crazy. Is he going to go Imperial? So he's just going to leave it here for now. Outside the base. And I think that's the question, right? What is he doing? Is he I'm looking at his macro now. I'm thinking it's probably fast castle. So probably going for like a more Mito-esque fast castle, potentially. Royal Knight outside the base as well. So I'm suspecting that that's probably what it's going to be. Maybe a fast castle with the King's Palace. But you know what? I wouldn't put past Don Artie just doing like a classic 4 barracks in the base, making 100 spears, and then just like rushing Viper's base. Like that's literally Don Artie and like his art style. That's how he plays. He does all that kind of cheeky stuff. He'll be spotting that there's no stone taken once again. Viper should put 2 and 2 together that there is no stone being taken, but there's deer being taken, so it's likely that probably there's going to be a fast castle coming up. Don coming out here to deny the scout. I don't know exactly. Viper's scout actually being misclicked onto his own sheep, and he's going to kill the sheep. And now Don's villagers are going to be looking to focus down. Oh, that's a longbowman, rather. Gets the shot off. Takes out the final shot. Town Center would have got it anyway. But a little bit of a misplay right there from Viper. Murdering the sheep. He's like, you know what? If I can't have this sheep, no one can. But then he didn't realize that there was a mill right there. So, Don looking pretty decent at this point. We'll take a look over at Viper. Viper dropping down that second TC. I'm curious to see where his decision-making goes from here. Looks like he's going to continue gathering stone, so probably going to be dropping down a third TC as well, which excites me greatly. I love a little bit of a boom-off, especially if this heads towards a late-game situation. Viper is an absolute king in those late-game scenarios, so that excites me greatly. Let's take a look over at Don. Don definitely macroing towards that age 3, but one of the things to note, let's talk a little bit about fast castle and the best way to do it. You want to get that wheelbarrow up as quickly as possible. Ideally, if you can get survival techniques as well, you want to be going for that. You want to really maximize that. Now, keep in mind, to make the most out of survival techniques, you are going to have to leave your base. You're going to have to come out here and grab this hunt. But you know, this is still a pretty decent hunt in here, and you can invest pretty heavily into it. It's only 150 resources, so it's nothing too crazy. Don now going to be going up to the third age, dropping down that landmark behind his base on the berry bushes down the back. Let's see if it cancels any of these 2 small berry bushes that are right here. It didn't. It didn't. I'm surprised. I'm humbled to see that both of those berry bushes remain alive. All right, we'll do a stock take. Check what the villager counts are. We've got 31 villagers for Don. I suspect Viper's probably going to be closer to 50. Let's go. Viper on 41. I massively overestimated how many villagers Viper was on. I guess that's just me thinking about France. I'm like, you know what? He's playing France. He's probably got 47,000 villagers sitting over there. Nope. He's on 41. 43 now. So not too bad. A Viper going to be walling up himself. And I think this is a little bit of a curious play. I guess obviously he's going for the third town center. So the question is, at this position, what's the best way to play if you know your opponent is doing this? Now, does he actually know his opponent is doing this? He doesn't have... I don't think he's got a scout out at the moment. I think his scouts are inside. So Don actually has no idea. Now, this is actually one of the ways that Don plays. For anybody unfamiliar with Don Artie, he doesn't scout the map. He says, I've got a game plan. I know what I'm going to do. And it doesn't really matter what you do because I am going to beat you with what I do. So Don now going to be dropping down that third town center. So I'm curious to know exactly what that is because, you know, Viper's added that third town center as well. This is like quite literally a boom off. If I was going to describe this game, I'd be like, it's a boom off. It's a good old-fashioned boom off. It's a Sunday boom off. Both players booming it off. That's the way that I would say it. And I think the question for me is... how do you play this one? So Viper is sitting outside his enemy's base. He knows that Don is going up to castle. Viper is adding TCs, which I think is definitely the right play. I think ideally what he wants to do is continue adding TCs at this point, and even look to potentially go Imperial, which is kind of wild when you think about it, but that's the kind of thing that happens on maps like this. Now, if you're playing the Mongols, you're going to have a totally different game than a map than normal on this map. But when you consider how many resources are in this base on this map, okay, don't worry about the food. What we're focusing on are gold mines. So there's 1 gold mine, there's 2 gold mines, okay, and lumber. How much wood is there? So there's 2 giant forests. There's 8,000 gold over there, and there's 8,000 gold here. 16,000 gold. That is more than enough resources for you to get to Imperial and have a party. Okay, and it's the exact same over in Don's base. He's got 8,000 gold here. Where's that gold mine? There's another gold mine here, and then another gold mine down to the south. So a total of 16,000 gold in their bases. So they are going to be happy all day. Of course, Don is also playing as the English, which means that he is going to be more inclined to be defensive. He's going to be more inclined to just, you know, sit in his base, mill it up, that sort of thing. So we can assume that at this point, this game is probably going to go to Imperial. This is a literal walls up like crazy and goes to Imperial game that's happening right now. And what are we going to be seeing in the late game? So when it comes to sacred sites, there are 3 sacred sites. You've got the first one down to the south, second one up near Viper's base, and the third one, which is a little bit more towards Don's base. Now, this one's definitely safe for Viper. In fact, this is a very good sacred site for Viper because it's actually, if you take a look at that, he's got the hill advantage for it. So it means if Don ever wants to go for a sacred site victory, he's going to need to hold this, and he's going to need to begin pushing on Viper's hill. And ideally, when you go to take a sacred site, you're going to need to, or rather defend it. You kind of want to defend it in front of it rather than behind it, because your enemy just has to stand on it to begin taking it. So I suspect that this is going to be a contention point later in the game. We're probably going to see at least 1 castle that comes down here. Up towards the north, there's another sacred site, and down towards the south, we've got another one down here. Typically, this is the forgotten brother out of the sacred sites, because you can see that players are going to gravitate up towards here. This is where Viper's entrance is. You know, we've got Don's entrance, which is down here to the south. He actually manages to spot the scout inside the stealth forest because he's got a single... he had units up here, which gave him line of sight into the forest and pushes that scout back. But similarly with Don, it kind of lends itself to come up towards this way. So I doubt we're going to see Don really... I mean, we could probably see Don expanding down here, but I don't think he's going to be looking to pick fights down there. I suspect the majority of the battles that we're going to see are right here, just outside this sacred site. And this is going to be the primary sacred site I suspect they're going to be fighting for. Whether they even look to fight for sacred sites, that is. Don being very dangerous here. Okay, so Don pushing out of his base. He knows that his enemy has got the school of cavalry. He knows that his enemy likes to make knights, as the French do. And he's pushing out with exclusively longbows. I mean, exclusively with the exception of 2 hardened spearmen. He's got plenty more spearmen back here where they came from, but overall, it's one of those situations where, to me, it looks a little bit concerning for Don, because Viper is beginning to pull ahead. So Viper has matched that 3rd TC. We talked about that earlier, okay? Viper's got 1, 2, 3 TCs, which I think is definitely the optimal number. I feel like if you go any more than 3 TCs... I'm not going to say it's necessarily a waste, but I don't know whether it's really going to be achieving the results that you want. So Don is sitting on 62 villages at the moment. Viper, on the other hand, if we take a look at him, he's sitting on 93. He's sitting on 1.5 times that. And on top of that, he's also got traders out in the network just getting in there. So he's already begun his trade. His market is not in the back right-hand corner. That's a blacksmith. It's right back against the wall here. Ideally, I'd love to see him put a gate up here, and then that way... he could potentially begin trading up there, maybe even close this gate, lock it. I think you can lock the gate. Yeah, lock the gate so the trader can't get through, and then begin having your traders run up around the back. But now that we begin to see late game composition armies building, let's talk a little bit about that. So one of the primary things that people don't realize is that in Age of Empires 4, a knight costs 1 population. A spearman costs 1 population. A longbowman costs 1 population. It doesn't cost 2 pop, it doesn't cost 3 pop, it costs 1 pop. You can make 1,000 of these, and it would be 1,000 pop. And why am I bringing that up? Why am I talking about that? I'm talking about that because to counter these units effectively, to counter the Royal Knight effectively, one crossbow, which counters a Royal Knight, will not kill it. One spearman will not kill it. You need to outnumber them. And so as we get later and later into this game, if Viper has a larger proportion of his army, which are knights, then Viper will have the stronger army. And that doesn't just apply to knights, that applies to most gold units as well. Okay, so the crossbowman, pound for pound, is going to be stronger than most other units. But the knight in particular is where the issue lies. So when we move towards the late game, I would love to see out of Viper exactly what we're seeing right now. This combination, in my opinion, is perfect. Siege plus Royal Knights. I don't think there's anything that beats this at all. I think this is one of the most insane combinations in the game. Now beginning to push forward. Donati's got to be careful. Viper looking to get through, to take off the line of sight. And we talked about this before. This is why it's so strong to have this high advantage, the high hill ground, the high ground advantage rather. It's so important to have that because the mangonels can exceed their reach, and you can see just how much fire. Look at that shot that went off right there from downtown, from over here all the way over this far. That is so damn bloody far. It says 9 tiles of range. That's not 9 tiles of range. That's like 19 tiles of range. That thing is absolutely crazy. Going to begin pushing out now, and this is really the difficult spot. So for Viper, he is now able to set up his late game composition, and when he goes to the late game, ideally he wants to be going to Imperial Age with the landmark, which is the Royal Artillery Academy, I think it's called, or just the Artillery Academy. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it enables him to build culverin. So if we go have a look right here at Viper's Siege Workshop, it doesn't actually have culverin in it. It's got Rebaldaquin, it's got cannons, it's got counterweight trebs, it's got mangonels, and it's got springles, but it doesn't have the culverin. However, if you build the it's the Royal College of Artillery, or just maybe the College of Artillery, you actually gain access to the Royal Culverin, which is a higher damaging culverin. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the culverin is a very effective counter against the units that counter the mangonel. So the mangonel, ideally what Don is going to do now that he's seen his opponent has made mangonels, is he's going to drop down his own siege workshop, and in here he's going to be making up springalds. And that's exactly what he's got behind here. So with these springalds, it's going to enable him to effectively counter those mangonels. But the primary issue is that if his opponent gets those culverin, he's going to be able to out damage them, out kill them, do all that good stuff with the culverin, because the culverin have got significantly greater health, significantly greater attack as well. I don't think they've got greater range, but that's something that we can double check. And now Don beginning to really start committing to these walls, beginning to stonewall towards the south, actually potentially looking at stonewalling a villager in. Don, I think you need to take a page out of Corex's book, mate, because that doesn't look finished. Can we get Corex on the line to do a little bit of walling with Don? I think that would help him out. Let's take a look over at what Viper's continuing to do. Down towards the south, it looks like we've got a little bit of a battle. Don managing to pick up a monk, and this is definitely the go-to play right here. He's got to be careful with it. He's going to be able to get off a Wallalol, but he needs to be careful. These guys are absolutely going to mess it, or just disintegrate it. Picking up plenty of units here. Dropping the relic on the ground. Look at that monk trying its best to move around. Viper actually doing a little bit of an attack move, and I think they ignored it for a second. Mangonel going to be getting a shot out on here, and Viper now reaching the Imperial Age. We'll take a look at what he went up with. He did indeed go with the College of Artillery, which is 100% the right choice, and now he has unlocked access to the Royal Culverin. Keep in mind, he also has the Royal Rebaldaquin and the Royal Cannon, which are different from their respective units that are normal. So the Cannon and the Rebaldaquin, these guys do extra damage, an extra 20% damage. Got to be careful down here, Don. We can see the onages, rather the mangonels, going to get great shots in right now, throwing it off, managing to miss them, and only managing to hit a couple of shots on here. Villagers down to the south. He's got to be careful, Viper. And now it looks like he's beginning to split up his units. Mangonel shots coming in, going to be taking out a huge handful of longbows, and Viper really demonstrating right there why he's considered the GOAT. Mangonel's continuing to push. He's got more. Like, this is just, at this point, it's just ridiculous because he's killed all of the longbows with the mangonels, and he's already got more knights than his opponent has got veteran spearmen. We've got 20 veteran spearmen, and compare that to Royal Knights. How many Royal Knights? We've got 16, so pretty damn close. And ideally, it's the other way around. You want the mangonels to kill the spears, and then the spears then the longbows would die to the Royal Knights. But Viper's just like, you know what? We're just going to kill everything with the mangonels. I don't know exactly what this is about, though. Continuing to chase down these units. He did lose all of these villages down to the south, but keep in mind, Viper's economy at this point is significantly greater. 113 compared to his opponent, Viper's on 131. So, very significant difference. And, it looks like Viper actually went to go and take the relic that Don had gotten himself. And, Don realized and gave him the old one too. My main concern at this point is that just the army from Viper is going to be enough, and he's actually got the elite upgrade as well. The knights from Viper are going to be more than enough at this point to clean this up completely. These are elite knights, so there are 20 royal knights. You would need like maybe 60 spears, and that would need to be like without the without the mangonels firing in on them. Mangonels now, Donati reaching the Imperial Age, trying to get on the back line with the Springords. Springords managing to come off, and you can just see how much damage those mangonels are doing. Incredible combination here from Viper, doing a really good job. Those mangonels, 2 of them going to be going down, but 3 more mangonels down to the south, and Viper completely cleaning up Don Artie, really answering the question, which is the better game, Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 3, and very clearly, Age of Empires 2 looks to be leading at the moment. I'm just kidding, I'm stirring the pot. I know you guys love to talk about this, but, Don having a bit of a difficult time, and I think the question is there anything that he can really do to get back in this game? Because we look at the score now, and you see Don Artie is down 4k score. That's a yikes. Don is down 4k score. This is going to be a slow, methodical push from Viper that occurs right now. Royal Covenant is out. It's got a 12-tile range. Compare that to the Springald, which has got a 12-tile range as well. So let's compare these pair. Okay. Culverin one-shots the Springald. What's the rate of fire on this guy? 4.25 versus 3.31. So it actually fires slower. But Viper coming down to the south, getting attacked by a wolf. This is Don's wolf, by the way, for anybody unfamiliar with Don. He likes to leave wolves around the edges of his walls just to defend them, which the wolf has successfully done. The wolf was victorious. He defended his homeland. But so when it comes to cracking through this, Viper's probably going to need... Not today, my friend. Mangonel shots, absolutely destroying that. So at this point, if I'm Viper, I would probably be looking for a cannon or 2. So you can go for a royal cannon from the College of Artillery. And you can probably siege through. So pushing through this front is probably a bit dangerous. There's a really high chance you're going to get flanked from either side. I would even consider pushing up here. But we can actually see Viper is now controlling all 3 of the sacred sites. So he's got one up here to the north. He's got one here outside his base. And then he's got one down here to the south. So he effectively controls all 3 of them. And keep in mind, for Don to neutralize this, he just needs to put 1 unit on top of the sacred sites, and it will neutralize them completely. But Viper's in a very strong position here. I don't really think there's any way that Viper could actually lose this game right now, other than a mangonel shot, but then he's got so many mangonels that it doesn't really matter. And when I say that, I just want you guys to know that I'm joking. When it comes to the mangonel shots, you would need a lot of mangonels to one-shot all of these Royal Knights, because these are fully upgraded French Royal Knights. 364 health. These are the strongest knights in the game. And Don Artie has definitely got a task on his hand, because it doesn't even look like he's making any... Don Artie just sitting here, he's like, alright guys, I've got 17 elite spears. I have 23 elite spears. Let's go, guys. 11 longbows. Don's in a difficult spot. Is he gonna... He's got elite spearmen. Okay, he's got that going for him. He does have +1 melee armor. He's gonna need at least a little bit more than that. We'll take a look over at what... Yeah, okay, he's running +3. So a bit of a difficult time for him. And people often ask me, Drongo, why are wolves even in the game? They're just annoying. They don't actually do anything. That's not true. This is what they do. The monk is unable to convert the wolf. And it harasses and damages it. It also harasses and damages traders as well. And it forces you to use APM on it. So it's one of those things that do exist for a reason. If you've ever played on either of the island matches, actually take that back. We've got Royal Culverin coming out here. Viper doing a little bit of the Royal Culverin push by itself, and it does go down the way of the Dodo. The last Royal Culverin. Trebuchet now going to be coming out for Viper. Begins shelling down the Berkshire Palace. I love that he's able to do that from the low ground as well. 16 tiles. Compare that to the Berkshire Palace, which has only got a range of 12. Now keep in mind, if you actually get the cannon in placement, I think that actually is a 16 tile. Because you get an extra I think it's an extra 50%. So I'm trying to think what 16 tiles would be. Because 12 wouldn't be it, 10 wouldn't be it. Maybe it's 15 tiles. I'm not sure. We'll have to check in. We'll have to wait and see. But Berkshire Palace definitely not looking the strongest right now. A single trebuchet going to continue trebbing it down. And plenty of spears out for Don, but I don't think this is anywhere near enough. 33 compared to the Royal Knights of his enemy. Rabaldaquin also coming out right now for for Viper at this point. Viper building a Rabaldaquin for whatever reason. It's got 12. Okay, let's have a look at this. 12 burst attacks, 42 damage. That's a lot. That's like 500 damage right there. But the issue is it doesn't have a very long range. It's got a 3.75 tile range, which is effective against spears, I guess. Okay, so Don now coming down to the south. He is looking to neutralize this. Now, Don's got elite knights as well. And he hasn't neutralized the site. He didn't realize that he didn't neutralize the site. You got to keep a unit on here all the way. You got to drain it out. Maybe he'll put a villager on there and realize, but it is very common people don't realize that they haven't neutralized the site. I actually won a game in the beta. I think it might have been the closed beta or maybe the technical stress test. I think it was the closed beta. I won a game where my enemy pushed my base, completely destroyed my base, and I won a sacred site victory because he didn't keep a unit on the sacred site to stop the sacred site victory, and I won. And I even aggressively typed GG in. I was like, ha, good game, noob. And as I won the game, felt very good. Elite Knight's now going to be coming in for Don. Got to be careful. Rabaldaquin in. Look at the Rabaldaquin firing off into the distance, but unfortunately losing out to those Springolds. Mangonels on the back line. Going to be watching as they come on in. Here they go. Boom, baby. Taking out all the spears as they do it. Knights beginning to chase down those Springolds as well. And the Elite Knights for Viper really represent absolute treacherous problem for Don Hardy as they continue to clean up the battlefield. More Rabaldaquins coming out. Mangonels focusing down a single spear. And Don definitely in a bit of a difficult spot right now. He's neutralizing the sacred sites with his villagers, but unfortunately, they don't stand a chance against these knights. Knights now begin to push it off, and Don definitely stuck between a wall and I guess an arrow slit his villagers would be stuck in right now. Getting pushed on one front at the same time. Royal Cannon now out as well for Viper. These bad boys do a lot of damage to the buildings of Don's base. Gonna continue pushing in, and hand cannons now coming out for Viper. Plenty of damage on these guys. For anybody unfamiliar with the hand cannons, 4 tiles of range, 42 attack damage, so quite a lot. Looks like he's going to begin mixing those in, but now we see villagers coming out for Don Hardy. This was the strategy all along. He was going to bring the villagers in. He just left it a little bit too late. But I can suspect with a game like this and villagers dying like that the game is indeed over. The Viper reigns victorious over the infamous Don Hardy. If you're watching this on YouTube, I hope that you enjoyed it. A little bit of a slow one, a little bit of a late one, but that is always going to happen on maps like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.